Alright, it's been a long time since I posted, but I'm back, at least for a little bit. I've got a piece of heat-treated Coastal Plains chert. This is some of the Dothan stuff. It's got some really pretty colors in it. So let's see what we can make. I had to get back into practice, so I made this little Newnan-esque point out of some Ocala chert, which is another variety of Coastal Plains. It actually looks real similar to this, but this is a little higher quality. So let's see what we can do. I'm gonna drive a big flake right in here and take this hump off first thing, since there's already a platform there and everything else. So we'll just abrade that. We'll just abrade that really well, and we'll hit right there, drive a flake into here, and see how much of that we can take off. That should get rid of a lot of our mass really quick. I'm going to support it, and it should follow that ridge line. Well, it took a little one. Let's see if we can do a little better than that. Well, it ran in there and hinged. It didn't want to do it, but we might be able to get it from this end here. Either might be able to get it from I'm gonna start with that one. There we go. Got a good portion of it. So some of this is glossy and some of this is grainy. So like back here on this side, it's a little glossier, and through here it's a little grainy. It's got a nice yellowish tinge to it. I kind of like that. I don't have a lot of yellow stuff, and these speckles and ridges and stuff should stay in there, so. Now, I tried to work a piece of this raw, and I think it probably could be done, but it definitely wasn't ideal. I'm just going to go ahead and take this back off. It's not a great spot for either side. I'm not sure with how much force to hit this. Like I said, I haven't napped a piece of it since it's been treated. And it seems like it wouldn't take that much force, but I'm hitting it a little lighter than I should be, and it seems to be stepping on me. So we'll feel it out a little here. I want to set up a platform on this side to take the other side of this hump off, so I can start running some stuff in here without running into those steps. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll leave that for now. So that's going to be my platform right there. We'll hit there and run into here. Beautiful. That got that hinge from earlier off of there. And when I say hinge or step fracture, I use those interchangeably, but that's when, like right here, if you'll see, the flake ran in there and stopped and created a ledge. That's not what you want. So that's what I mean when I say hinge or step fracture. But usually if you don't push it too far, you can get those off. So like here, I can set up a platform and come across and get most of that. We're early enough right now that it's not a big deal. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Is set up a platform and try to come in across that top and take all this off, and maybe get this too. something weird going in there. It kind of looks like this was probably a fracture, you know, that's already broke off, and this is what's left of it. Under here should be good rock, but I'd like to get the rest of that out because they're going to have to get it off at some point. Be easier to take it off from this side than it will be that side, but I don't think this is going to run all the way. I think it's going to run to about right there and stop. Yep. If I call it, does that make it better? The heat treat definitely improved the workability of this rock, because raw it was pretty dry. And by dry I mean, how do I say this, grainy. We're going to try right there. I don't know why I had that indirect stick under my leg. I don't need it right now, that's for sure. Okay. We're going to try to drive right in here and get that step fracture right there. This clump of crap off of there. Yep, we got it. I'll try to just go ahead and get rid of that. So we're starting to get it flattened out here. Start looking for other kind of can't talk this morning. Opportunistic flaking areas. So like right here, we're gonna have to do some work. And I'll go ahead and kind of turn that edge to the side I want to take flakes off of. Yeah, right in there. It needs to happen sooner rather than later, so. Ain't no sense in delaying. We got a lot of it right there. This area is a little messy. Needs a little more setup before I start trying to hit that. Just take a light flake there to clean that edge up. So this side isn't half bad. Right here we'll have to do something with. I can probably just lightly clean that up and not try to drive any crazy flakes. And then come over here, we'll try to set some stuff up in here and set some stuff to get that up, and then we'll have a pretty decent looking biface. Yeah, that little area right there is a little weird. So is this area is going to be a little weird too, but we might be able to take this and get us something to get started with right there. I don't want to try to hit right in the center of that spot. I kind of want to hit off to the side of it a little. So once I get it set up, I'll show you all a little bit more about what I mean. So I want to try to hit that little triangle right there and that one right there and kind of clean this up. I don't want to try to hit there because it's way too high. And these are just low enough. Yeah, I got most of it. We'll come back for the rest of it here in a minute. So we're starting to get a better center line. Now down here on this end, some of it is a little rough too, so I'm not going to try to hit in there crazy hard or anything. I want to roll that. I'm going to roll that edge this way towards the side that has the pink on it a little bit, which is what we just did. And now we should be able to get us down to something we can work with. Now I'm just going to come back and try to find any more problem areas. Maybe take some light, kind of call it cleaning flakes or whatever you want to call it. Kind of change some of my edge geometry here a little bit. I hate doing that, but sometimes it needs to be done. When you get into knapping, for those of y'all that are just starting out, which I figure if you're an expert, you're probably not watching me. It's okay to lose some material. Like, you're going to have to. It's just part of it, and I've said that in other videos. Sorry for taking the extended break on the videos. I just, to be honest with y'all, it's been hunting season down here. And lots of stuff going on with work and everything else and the holidays, and just haven't felt motivated to make any videos. People who are YouTube experts say that's not good for your channel growth, but I'm not in this to make money. I'm in this to have fun, so. I have no illusions that I'll ever get rich from YouTube. That was a good flake. Now I might be able to pick that. Yep, pick it off. I actually haven't been doing any napping. Not just not making videos, but I probably haven't napped in 3 or 4 months, I think. For no reason, I just took a break. This rock naps a lot like agatized coral, or it's a little tougher than coral, but it's kind of steppy like that. Kind of chalky feeling in your hand. It doesn't feel glassy. It feels like sandpaper. So we've got this down to a pretty good vibe face. I have no idea what I want to make out of it. I'm not sure what I'm thinking. Probably time to start on the indirect. I want to get in here and clean some of this stuff up and get the edges running a little more true, but we're not doing too bad. And so let's start on the indirect and go from there. I hope that light isn't like so bright that it's washing out the colors and everything. I put a new light in here to try to give y'all, I don't know, some better colors or better view, and I'm afraid that it's gonna wash everything out. Well, I guess y'all have to let me know. All right, time for some indirect. We're going to try to just use some of our pre-existing platforms left over from the direct percussion here. What I really want to do is use this indirect to try to clean it up. But I think we'll probably stick with it. I don't think I'll switch back to direct percussion on this particular piece, unless it's something I just feel like I can't get. Definitely, I haven't worked a lot of this material, so I'm kind of feeling my way through it with y'all. So it's definitely kind of crumbly, but not in a bad way. I kind of like rocks like that. It's got some inclusions in it. Like, I don't think it's gonna hurt anything, but like, that's all shell. I don't know if y'all can see that. And right there, that's like the edge of a scallop shell, which, I mean, that's cool to me. Leave it in the point. This one I did earlier has a, I'm assuming, a sand dollar in it, if y'all can see that right there, which is one reason it's a little thicker than I'd like it to be. But I was scared to break it, and it was a lot longer than that before I started doing the notching on it. It happens. It was probably, unfortunately, just a little bit smaller than this when I started. I messed the notches up and had to do a little trimming and finagling to get it to look at least half right. That material is also a little difficult to work with. It doesn't flake the best, but it's our local stuff. And actually, a friend of mine, yesterday we went and did some rock hunting, and that's stuff he had heat treated. He actually heat treated this for me in his kiln, so pretty good heat treat. I have no excuses. I'm sure he could have made something out of either one of those pieces. So this tip area from like here down looks all right. It's back here that's the issue. Looks like I cut myself a little bit there. We need to set some stuff up over here and try to get this junk off of there. So we're gonna lose some width, but it is what it is. I'm going to use that opportunity to set that side up to take some flakes off the other side, because it also needs it. Same thing over here. Oh, that was my phone going off. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, that side looks so nice and clean. Really pretty. You can see the flake scars in it. Well, this side has got that hump right there, and some junk going on here, but really that hump is what's bothering me. So let me see if I can, I really don't want to sacrifice any more width to get to it, but I need to, I have to set something up right there. So let's set that up. Let's see what we can do. I'm gonna start here at the more you can thin that kind of area out as you come down on it and isolate it instead of going right in the middle, the easier it is to get it off. if you know what I mean. Like, if you got a problem area, instead of starting, like, let's just say this ridge right here was a problem area. You don't want to come right in the middle of it. It's easier to work from this edge to this edge or whatever to try to lessen how much of that you have to blow off of there. And it just makes your life a lot easier. So we've got a decent little biface going here. It's looking very paleo-ish. I don't know what we should make out of it, but we'll thin it down a little bit more. This is from Alabama. This is Alabama Coastal Plains chert, so I mean we could do an Alabama point style like a Dalton. It's too thin. Sorry, my phone keeps going off over there. It's too thin to make a Clovis out of right now, unfortunately. And I don't want to, if I'm being honest. I'm not in the mood for heartbreak this morning. We could really make a Dalton or like a Simpson style point out of it. So we'll just keep thinning it down and see where we're at. I know we have a lot of videos on Daltons and this, that, and the other, but it's what I prefer to make, or bigger blade style paleo points like that. We could make a Newnan, but I'm not great at making Newnan, so I don't really want to. I'm not great at making any specific point style, to be honest with you. If you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you're aware of that. I like to just get out here and have fun with it. Try not to take it too seriously. That spot does not want to cooperate. There it goes. Wouldn't mind taking a couple more right there either. I'm just gonna knock that edge back a little and give me a little more room to work with right there. This would make a excellent Swanee point, which I live on the Swanee River, so it wouldn't hurt my feelings to make it out of it. A Swanee point basically looks like an unfluted Clovis, pretty much. And this kind of has that profile, so that might be the direction we go. And I don't think I've done one of those on the channel. I may have. I think I did a Simpson, which is really similar. If we go to making that, I'll have to pull out the reference book, that's for sure. And honestly, I don't know where it is right now. I mean, I can keep whittling down on this thing all day and make it narrower and narrower, but really, as far as thinness goes, I'm pretty happy with it the way it is. The thinner I push it, the more chances we have of not, y'all never seen this video. That's the best part about that movie magic is, I can always just delete it. I wonder if the other guys that nap on YouTube just have this file of broken point videos. I feel like it's about time to do some pressure flaking. I'm getting to the point where each one of these platforms is getting tighter and tighter. And what we can do is, so this is what we've got right now, which it's pretty thin, pretty nice. Not a lot of hinges, a couple. Some weirdness going on right here in this area, but overall I'm happy enough to leave that. So we can just go ahead and pressure flake these edges. I'm probably going to bring this base in a little bit like that, and then leave this rounded out, come down to a narrower base, and go towards that Swanee style of point. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to leave the thinness. I'm happy with it. We might take a couple more whacks at it with the indirect here and there to try to get like some of this area. I don't know if y'all can tell, but it's a little thick. It's a little thick right where my thumb is on the back side right there. There's like a little ledge. You might be able to see it. Yeah, you can see it right there with the shadow hitting it. It's got like a little hinge there. Kind of runs down that ridge, but it's thin enough that I don't want to try to just bust it off of there. But I think we can safely kind of pressure flake the edge that way and then see what we're looking at. And if it looks like I've got a more of a opportunistic platform kind of area to get to right there, we'll do it. I'm not in the mood to break this today, so we're not going to try it unless we are fairly happy with how it looks. The tip also needs some work, which we'll see how much of it I can get with just pressure, or if we'll have to go back and fight our way through it with the indirect. Obviously, tip and end strikes are not your friend. Anybody that has been napping very long will tell you that. You don't want to shock the end of the point, especially if it's perchance thicker than the middle. If you have a lot of weight out on your ends, or you know, one end in particular, and you hit it, causes like a whipping effect, then it'll snap it right across the middle, which we've all done. If there's something y'all'd like to see in the videos, man, I'd love to hear some feedback. If there's a particular project y'all'd like to see me do or something, that'd be cool too. Like, oh, make this style of point until you're good at it or something. I'll do it. I can pretty much get my hands on almost any kind of rock. Some are harder to get than others. I do like working stuff that I've either collected myself or had people give to me or something like that. Like this came from a guy at a Knap In. He gave me a bunch of it, and it's some really good rock. I can't remember his name, if I'm being honest. Speaking of that, if you're in the Florida area, there's a couple Knap Ins coming up. Next month is the Silver River Knap In, which is a big one. And then I think it's the next weekend after that is the Flint River Knap In up there in Georgia, which is awesome. I went to it last year. Last year they canceled the Silver River Knap In, which made a lot of people very unhappy, myself included. But it is what it is. The Flint River Knap In had an awesome turnout last year. First year they did it, which you should be able to get more information on the internet, or I'll tell you what, I'll look it up after this video. Maybe I'll link it or something. And then post it somewhere on the channel or in the video description or something. We'll figure it out. Okay, I think we can go with a little indirect here if we're really careful. If we're really careful with it, we can do some. The tip kind of needs some help, which I remember I said I hated doing. Well, now I'm doing it. Sometimes I'm just not the best pressure flaker. Pressure flaking can be extremely difficult, and I kind of use the indirect as kind of a, be honest with you, the indirect is kind of a crutch. It'll carry you along, but it's really not ideal. It's okay at a lot of stuff. It's really great at thinning, but it's not ideal for finishing a point, or I don't know how to say that. It can be a little aggressive, at least for me. Now there's other people who use it and make it look like magic, but that takes a lot of experience. Like Jack Crafty, he can just go in there and take a point to pressure flaking stage with it, which I can get close, but I think he sets up all his platforms with it and everything, and I just really haven't got there yet. I guess I'll have to turn the volume off on my phone before I do another video. That little piece right there, so it's got some kind of inclusion right there, an inclusion right there. This little piece should pick off of there. I think I'll just leave it alone. And then that piece, honestly, it's in the wrong spot for both sides, so it's probably just staying. We're probably not far off from calling this quits, at least with the indirect. I really shouldn't do it, but I really need to hit this end a little and thin it out, because I'm not going to be able to fix that with indirect. It's better to run them in from the side if you have to get to that base than it is to run them straight from the back like that. Like when you run them straight from the back like I just did, you're basically micro fluting it. And if you know about flutes, you know they like to break stuff. Pressure flake this a little. I like it. I'm very happy with how it's turning out so far. Like this material too. It's very similar to this other material that I've been getting out of Ocala, which is a place in Florida for those that aren't familiar. But it seems to have a slightly better workability. It's slightly less grainy, and it seems to have less inclusion. So like, if you'll look, it looks real similar to this. Well, it did before we flaked it. And then once you flake it, it looks real similar to that. Believe it or not, these came from miles and miles away. So this came from Dothan, Alabama. Or this came from Dothan, Alabama. This came from Ocala, Florida. But it's probably part of the same formation, give or take. Give or take. So, I'm going to run around this a little bit more with the pressure. Then I'm probably going to pause the video and flip around and see if I can't find a decent video, or not a video, a picture, a decent picture of a Swanee point to copy. And I think that's what we're going to make out of it. It's all Coastal Plains chert, so it doesn't really matter that this came from Dothan or whatever, and the Swanee's in Florida and Georgia, but it's really the same type of rock. Real similar, at least. You know how they've been talking about for, I don't know, the last 10 or 15 years about, oh, we're going to bring mammoths and mastodons back from the dead. If they do you think they'll let us hunt them? Because, like, you're going to have to manage them somehow. They're just going to have scientists go out there and, like, shoot the ones that need to be shot or whatever, or they're going to keep them in pens. Because, like, at one point they were talking about putting them out there in Siberia and letting them live in the wild. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a real thing. They talked about it quite heavily. Y'all know who that guy Forrest Galante is. Been on Joe Rogan a couple times and he talked about it. But you'll have to do something with them. You won't be able to just let them run wild. So I wonder if they'll let us hunt them. I bet that would be expensive, but sign me up. I don't think I'd want to kill I don't know. I don't want to kill an elephant, and I don't know if they'd let you kill an elephant in Africa with I think they got rules about what you could hunt them with, but it's a serious scientific opportunity to study what a flint projectile point, or even not a projectile's point, even a spear per se, not even an atlatl, like a traditional hand spear, what it would do to a mastodon. Makes you think. You know, if it's old and sick and gonna die anyway, might as well get some information out of it. Alright, cool. I'm gonna pause the video right there for a minute, and we'll come back and I will figure out how to pick a Swanee point. Okay, I have since changed my mind about the Swanee point. I don't really love the way they look. When I started flaking on it and I stopped the camera, we're gonna make a Newnan. This thing's close already, just from what we were flaking in on the Swanee, and I just don't love the style. Most of them don't look right. We'll readdress that another day, but we're gonna make we're just gonna make a normal Newnan. I haven't made one on the channel before, I don't think, and I've been messing with it more and more, and that's a good point style for this. It's an authentic-ish point style for this. For coastal, well, for a coastal plains chert it is. I don't know if they have them in Dothan, Alabama or not, but I know they got them in Georgia and Florida. So we're going to start with that. We're going to try our best to make it look as good as possible. Now, the profiling is a little wrong, but that's okay because they all look different. But most people make them really wide, like blow out the sides way out here and make them more triangle shape. But I have seen actual artifacts that have more of this shape to them, so we're going to go with that. And then I'm not going to do what I did with that other one and try to make that narrow tang. Make a nice fat wide tang. Still needs to have the taper, so the tang tapers back, and then the base is flat. It's not concave at all. I saw a red one that somebody had found near where I live at that was real similar in profile to this, but it was about 8 inches long. As far as I know, it was an authentic artifact. It looked right. You know, being a napper, it's kind of easier to tell what's real and what isn't, but I tell people all the time, if a good napper wants to fool you, you're going to have a hard time telling, to be honest with you. A lot of the artifact guys are like, oh, I can tell if one's fake or not. I think you can tell. I hate to be that way. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody or anything, but I think it's, without putting it under an electron microscope, you'd have trouble. If the napper was intentionally trying to fool you, which I don't think is the case for most stuff. That's kind of a sensitive subject with a lot of people. So one thing we have to make sure we get right here is these, I guess you could call it wings here. They have to go back up in, so they're not straight. They kind of curve in. That angle needs to be right. And then the angle of the tang also needs to be right. But we don't want to make our tang too narrow. We also want to make sure that we don't make it too long or bring those, like right now it's a touch long, which we can fix that. I know how to fix that. And we don't want the wings too short, you know, as far as depth. They need to be pretty deep. But as we bring them in, they need to go up. So this needs to go more at an angle, which is fine. We can make that happen. They don't have to be crazy deep or anything either. I've seen all kinds of different styles and variations of Newnan. And when we get this knocked out, I'll grab my phone out and show y'all some of the different styles and variations, just so I can back up what I'm saying. I actually have, well, I shouldn't say I. In my father's collection, he has quite a few Newnan points. He actually has one. It looks similar to this one I showed y'all earlier with the narrow tang, but it's still just as wide, but it's only about that long. And it's been sharpened off to one side into I'm assuming they were using it as a knife. So it's shaped like this and kind of favors, the top edge is almost straight, and it's like here. So they probably broke it and then resharpened it, or just used it enough they resharpened it down that far. But the pressure flaking on the edge is absolutely insane. I might have to get it out one day and show it to y'all on video, so when we talk about, you know, how the natives sharpened their stuff and why their points were sharp is another thing. It's not just about the broken edge, it's about how you break the edge. So for those of you that don't know, it's like sharp in between the flakes where you take a flake off. It's a serrated edge. So like people talk about, I've seen this trend on YouTube where people buy chunks of obsidian and try to sharpen them like a regular knife, and then are disappointed that they're not as sharp as like a regular kitchen knife. And they don't understand that it's not how it operates. It's the broken edge that's sharp. I'm okay with how this side looks. I want to get in a little deeper on that side, and it's kind of not a great platform, so I should probably sharpen my pressure flaker a little bit and really get in there where we can do some finer work. But that little steel flaker isn't going to cut it right there. It's a pretty good, it's not a thick point for the size it is, but it's still thicker than what I really want to tackle with that. It's important that we don't take too much off here, and I may have to move out of frame to get a better idea about what I'm doing, and if I do, I'm sorry about that. But the platform is a little wrong right there, but to make it look right, I need it. I'm going to move out over here where I can see a little bit better. I'll just trim that part of the video. More of that movie magic. Ooh, I thought for a second there we weren't going to get it. That was a tough one. Now we'll just taper this tang in a little bit more. And then I think a lot of what I've got to clean up or get rid of I can do with the abrader here. And that'll also help. Oh yeah, pretty pleased with that. It doesn't look as good as some of the really wide, giant Newnans people make, but the ones that I've seen, actual artifacts, look more like this. Now, we need to clean up the edge a little bit and do a little pressure flaking, but I'm pretty happy with that turned out. I'm gonna just take this pressure flaker and kind of refine the tip a little and clean up some of our geometry, but we should have a finished product here soon. I'm a real finely pressure flaked edge on this, and you know, kind of mimicking that one I was telling you that my father has. He actually recently picked that up over in the hunting club. It's all private land, so you can pick them up. I don't know if y'all know the rules, but in the state of Florida, you about can't pick one up anymore unless it's on private property. Matter of fact, you can't. They designated the river bottom as state property and all kinds of stuff, so you better not get caught digging for them either. I think it's a felony. Pretty sure it is. So, not a spot you want to be in, that's for sure. And a lot of the stuff my father has was before those rules came into place. Matter of fact, growing up and looking at all the stuff he had in his collection is probably has a large involvement on why I'm interested in flint knapping, among other things. I was telling someone the other day the whole reason I got into flint knapping is because I wanted to kill a deer with a primitive bow in a point that I had made, and still haven't done that yet. But we get closer every year. I don't hunt like I should is really the main drawback. I've made the bow, I've made some nice arrows, you know. I just really need to try a little harder. But it's hot down here in bow season, and it's not something I don't enjoy hunting during bow season. I enjoy bow hunting, but it's typically hot, which I guess I could hunt with a bow during general gun and only shoot bucks or whatever, which is probably what I need to do, because I kill plenty of deer with a rifle every year. I should just shoot a couple with a rifle and then move on to doing some bow hunting, and then do it in the you know, in the colder weather here in the fall. But hunting season's almost over, so I guess that's going to have to wait till next year. If I was a cheater, which I don't know how much cheating can you really do when you're hunting with a primitive bow, but if I was a cheater, I'd get me a feeder full of corn and do it that way instead of trying to do it the hard way. You know, out of a ground blind, like not even a ground blind, but like a brush blind. Wanted to do it kind of primitively, although this year I did bring a ghillie suit, but to be honest with y'all, I only hunted with my bow like, this sounds bad, maybe 1 or 2 days. I think I hunted opening morning, and I think it rained and the mosquitoes got me, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this today. And then life got in the way. But that's kind of how it goes. I like to make excuses. I wanted to videotape it is also part of the reason, and the GoPro really need to have a different camera setup for that. I have a different camera, just not really sure about what I'm doing, to be honest with y'all. Kind of one of those things you kind of have to learn as you go. I have no background in filming or anything. I am super tickled pink with that. That is a very nice looking Newnan point. I'm gonna call it right there. I'm very happy with that. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I will make some more. We'll see when I will make some more, but I will make some more. Thank y'all for watching.